Welcome to the M2 podcast. This is episode 28. This is basically the show where we cover esports and personalities, gaming industry related news, new and upcoming games, and technology and innovation. Pretty much the show where we cover the last week in review. I'm your host, Michael Anthony, my co-host, Mr. JKE, aka Kyle Heath. And pretty much like, what have you been up to the last week, Kyle?
Um, that's a good question. You know, this the standard editing stuff, of course. In terms of games, though, what have I played?
Yeah, what have
Uh,
you played?
been sticking to the same old recently. Honestly, I don't think I've branched out much, especially in the past couple of weeks. But standard peck smite trade off, you know, flip flop,
hmm
kind of thing. I haven't really been doing too much else. Um, been wanting to check out Stray, but I mean, with the I don't know, like a 4 to 5 hour game with like a $30 price tag doesn't sound super intriguing to me right now. So I may wait for a price drop on that to actually check it out.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, it's pretty good in terms of gameplay and stuff. So um, yeah. But I think overall, I haven't really haven't ventured out too much. What about you, Mike?
Well, speaking of Stray, I haven't played it, but you watch Video Game Donkey, right? On
Yeah,
YouTube?
but yeah,
Did you take did you see his most recent video about Stray?
I did not actually. I didn't see it in my feed, surprisingly.
So basically, if you're not familiar with Video Game Donkey, he more of a comedian than he is like a reviewer of games. But every now and then he goes kind of to his roots of like, okay, let's review a game. And he
Yeah.
played Stray all the way through and gave like a full review of it. And he was like, he also has kind of comedic elements in it, of course, because it's entertaining. Um, but his review actually turned me away from the game a little bit.
Oh wow.
'Cause not like
Wow.
that it was a bad thing, it was just, like, he basically got to the point of, like, it's kinda repetitive, it's, like, it you don't really get to do anything, like, have control of your, cat or whatever,
Huh.
and it basically just wasn't very convincing, but at the end, he's just like, "But, I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 because you get to play as a cat." So,
Yeah.
he liked it a lot, but he was being real about the review, um,
Yeah.
but it's one of the highest rated games right now, it's, like, higher rated than Elden Ring. Is
Oh,
a
surprising.
headline that I saw. I don't know if that's still the case, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something I saw by, like, GameSpot or something. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it's good. I don't know if and I may end up getting it at a discount and regret that I didn't get it at full price because it's that good, but I don't know, we'll see.
yeah, it's a single player game. Those usually go on sale within, like, 3 or 4 months, you know?
Right, yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
if you're willing to wait, you're gonna get it on a discount, even if it's, like, 5, 10, 15%, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Another funny thing I did see is, Yong Yeah, who's another,
Oh yeah.
tech reviewer. He did a segment on Anthem and how GameStop, almost said GameSpot, GameStop is selling Anthem copies for 1 cent right now.
One whole penny.
Yeah,
Nice.
basically the game isn't worth shelving space, so they're trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible.
Man,
So,
nice.
if you got a GameStop, you have to go in store though. You have to pay like full or half price if you order it online. But yeah,
That's funny. My goodness.
yeah. But to answer your question about what I've been doing the last week, playing a lot of Halo Infinite, and I booted up my old original Xbox because I the Moist Critical Challenge 20K.
Yeah.
I actually found this little guy right here, which is a splitter for audio for it, and I found out that my Xbox didn't actually have component cables. Component cables. They're only composite, so yellow, red, and white.
Yeah.
And I want to stream or record the gameplay in HD or HDMI, well, HD 720p, and I can't do that without it like looking like trash with the standard RCA cable.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
went on. I got the component cables that should be coming in. Like I got the component cables now. Need to get the converter, and the converter comes on Saturday. So I'll be
Gotcha.
playing some OG Halo 2. I've been playing Splitgate again, having a blast on there. So
Nice. Splitty
Splitty Gate.
gate. Sir.
Yes, sir. They got a competitive season going on. There's still
Yeah.
teams going. Dude, I got on and like the skins on that game are phenomenal. They're like all
Yeah.
like half of them are animated.
Yeah.
My character looks like he's a space alien galaxy guy. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so nuts.
No,
Uh,
I've heard the skins go kind of crazy in that game. It's been a while since I've
it's
logged
so
in.
sick.
But
They're basically giving skins away every time you log in.
I mean,
So
log in now. Jeez,
yeah,
just
and
giving
it's
it
great.
away.
And the progression system is similar to COD. So, like COD, you just go in however many kills you can possibly get with a certain weapon, how many
Yeah.
headshots, like melee kills. Then you'll just start unlocking all the different skins. And the ultimate skin is similar to Overwatch. Like the ultimate skin that you get when you unlock all the challenges for that particular weapon is a gold skin.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
it's pretty cool.
Pretty
Yeah,
neat.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I've been having fun. But what do you got for us in terms of news for this week?
Oh, we got some stories, Mike. Got some stories, man. I wanted to start off with a little hardware. I like to always start shows off with the hardware stuff if we can.
Yes.
In particular, this is we're going to talk about the Backbone One. It got its first official PlayStation friendly, um, I guess, kind of PlayStation esque iPhone controller. They partnered with Backbone. Sony did. They listed the accessory company Backbone to make a PlayStation-ified version of the excellent Backbone One mobile controller for iPhone. It's actually available from Backbone and Best Buy. Gives off. They said it gives off PS Vita vibes,
That's old
except
school.
except somehow Sony was okay with Backbone keeping its Xbox-like analog stick arrangement, which is actually, if you look at the image here, that's a good point. They kept the top left and the bottom right of the analogs, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Um, but also, if you do notice, an article kind of mentions is that they've switched out the buttons for more PlayStation looking buttons. In particular, they said it's identical in price and design to the all black 2020 Backbone One that's still on sale. You could save for one big change. Get the cross, circle, triangle, and square for A, B, X, and Y. So they did, of course, change those to be the more Sony ones. And if you want to get the one on sale, full disclosure, this retails for $99.99 for a little kind of iPhone controller. So take that for what you will. But it does seem like the original is on sale. So if you don't want to get the if you don't for some reason want the Sony PlayStation controller version, so to speak, you can always get a cheaper one. But I mean, in terms of mobile gaming, I mean, for at least my perspective on this, I certainly probably wouldn't get this because one, I don't play PlayStation remote games, let alone mobile games. It's like that whole market for me is kind of, I don't dabble too much anymore. I think the last like mobile game I really played was like Clash of Clans, and that's not even really like that's like a tapping game. That's not even like a proper, at least what I
Yeah.
feel is like a proper like mobile game in terms of like intensive like, resource usage and having to flip your phone vertically and use both hands, and yeah, it's definitely not like that. So I mean, I'm not super crazy about this. I will say though, from a design perspective, I mean, it looks like Sony made
It's
it,
pretty.
right? It doesn't look like they partnered with a third party company. It looks like Sony straight up made it. So I mean, I don't know. Like Mike, what do you think? I mean, I don't know how huge you are into mobile gaming nowadays, but
Well, I got that tablet now, so I need to kind of get more involved. I did do xCloud on the tablet a couple of times, and that was nice. But when it comes to this like setup, I mean, if you're playing mobile games and you're pretty serious about it, this is actually a good idea. I mean, I was trying to figure
yeah.
out and justify the $100 price tag that's attached to this, but I found out where it is. So they have, well, yeah, it's everything that you expect it to be, right? So it's like you have the controller bit, you have the comfortable grips, the logical button arrangement, the good trigger responsiveness, which is what you expect in all these kind of attachments. But the biggest thing that I see is there are features for lightning as through charging and a 3.5 millimeter headphone audio pass through port. So I think that's pretty cool. There's
Yeah.
like in the handles of the grips, you can see in one of the Best Buy images if you go to their site, on the bottom of it, there's a pass through for the charger on your right, and then on your left is the headphone jack if you want to do that.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so my confusion is like not all phones have an audio auxiliary jack, like looking at Apple, they don't have
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, I mean, like they could probably have some type of converter in there for Apple phones.
yeah. I'm assuming that's the case. I mean, this is an Apple. I guess it's meant for Apple phones, right? So if they have an
Yeah,
auxiliary in there. It's probably going to be
yeah,
converting it, which is awesome because you can just plug headphones in.
yeah, exactly. So that's probably where the $100 is coming from, because
Yeah,
those
very true.
adapters are not cheap.
Very true,
So I
especially
mean,
like Apple products, right? Like just
yeah,
Apple in general. So
if it's got that bitten in Apple, it's going to cost at least 20% more. Uh, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really nice.
yeah,
It's not for me, but I could definitely see how people would be excited about seeing this.
yeah,
And it fits every phone. It's like adjustable. It like opens and closes like a clamp. It's kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it says that it does clamp out to fit anything from like the iPhone 13 mini all the way to the Pro Max. So it's like any
That's big.
iPhone size, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So I was reading a little bit more to this into the article. It says for the uninitiated, Sony's Remote Play app for mobile lets you jump into your PS4 or PS5 games while roaming around your house. It sounds great and it is capable of delivering a decent experience. I can load up Tetris Effect Connected just about anywhere. I guess who wrote this said this, and I can have a pretty good time while streaming via Wi-Fi at home, which is how I imagine most people may use Remote Play. You can also play Remote Play outside of your home via LTE or 5G. Though fast-paced games like Returnal didn't play so hot over LTE or even 5G in some cases, so your enjoyment may vary depending on your Wi-Fi hardware and your network coverage. Um, he, the person that wrote this article, let me see who wrote it. Cameron Faulkner wrote this. Cameron also said, I can get over the rope play latency, but there are some other persistent annoyances here. Backbone's orange button can be pressed and held to take you back to the PS5's home screen to switch games, which is great, though doing so bypasses the toolbar that lets you easily put the console in rest mode. So you'll need to use the iPhone's touchscreen to pull up the virtual PS5 home button and navigate to the option, or when manually disconnecting from remote play, you can set the console to automatically go into rest mode. Feels like a little more annoying than it should be. It's also bothersome that when you switch away from remote play app, even briefly, you'll need to reconnect to your console.
Oh
So
wow,
definitely some definitely some
that's
hiccups there.
annoying.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I could definitely see how it's annoying, but definitely much you know stuff that I'm sure with some software updates they can fix and kind of work around. But yeah, just some small annoyances there. Is to be aware of if you decide to use a backbone.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the overall concept's a good idea, but that right there would annoy me. Like
yeah,
doing anything to switch out of the app and you have to reconnect to your console.
yeah,
Or even like toggle the app. And that's kind of like that's like back in the day when you couldn't do picture in picture mode or like split screen on your
yeah.
mobile device.
Yeah, my how times have changed, right? Kind of
Yeah, now
crazy.
you can do like 5 things. I actually did on my tablet. I did a split down the middle, then I pulled up a YouTube video, and then I also had a calculator, another utility up. I was like, "Holy crap! I have 4 things on one screen, and it's a freaking tablet.
Yeah,
Like, what is happening?"
yeah, real.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's worth checking out though for people that have
yeah,
iOS and they're mobile gamers.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely worth it. I mean, the article also mentions that people speculating, this is kind of PlayStation's dip into the mobile market. They just released the End Zone line of stuff that was catered towards PC. So it's kind of like Sony's trying to branch out. I can respect it. So it's not bad.
Yeah, they really are. They're stepping into the territory of Sony and Microsoft now.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to.
Gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be. I mean, especially with. I mean, we heard the rumors of the Pro controller, which I'm so upset we haven't heard anything since because that sounded like
Dude,
so good. It's
I'm
like,
yeah,
where's it at,
patiently waiting.
dude? Where is it at, dude? Well, when that article drops,
Just tease it.
that is the main story of that episode. You heard it here first. You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah.
Um, but yeah. Anyways, I'm excited for the future of Sony. I think. Who knows if they'll be able to reach Microsoft level, but they're certainly trying, and I can respect it. So, speaking of trying to reach to a level of a competitor,
Yes.
let's talk about AMD. AMD released its own noise suppression tool to take on Nvidia's RTX broadcast. Kind of crazy stuff. It says AMD accidentally leaked its noise suppression feature last week, and now it officially is making they're officially making it available as part of the Adrenaline software. The latest Adrenaline Edition 22.7.1 update includes AMD noise suppression, which will reduce background noise using a real-time deep learning algorithm. AMD noise suppression works very similar to RTX broadcast, allowing you to filter unwanted background noise from your own microphone or even from someone else's device if you're on a call. AMD has integrated its noise suppression feature directly into the Adrenaline interface, and so you don't need to download a separate app like Nvidia requires to use RTX broadcast. Unfortunately, it's only available and won't be available to many AMD customers to start. While AMD originally wrote it would work with Ryzen 5000 series CPUs, not just AMD graphics, it turns out that's wrong. AMD noise suppression technology is only supported on AMD Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards and mobile GPUs and 6000 series processors with RDNA 2 graphics. Reads a correction from AMD's Oren Ing, The Verge. We pulled this article from The Verge, and they included a bunch of wonderful screenshots of the interface and everything, kind of showing how it's used. But yeah, it's I mean, this is certainly, when I saw this article, I just think like this is a huge W, because like I wanted to see. It was always in the back of my mind if AMD was going to do something similar, because RTX has been so successful.
Yeah.
And they're taking a stab at it. And I don't know. It's I'm very, and I'll have to read more of the article here to see if it's actually I don't know if much testing has been done on it, since it is such a new feature, and how it actually compares to RTX broadcast her voice. But very interesting stuff. Mike, I know you use RTX voice or RTX broadcast yourself. I mean,
Yes.
does this sound intriguing to you? I mean, because like Nvidia has pretty good software, they have a pretty good algorithm behind that behind the voice
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nvidia knows what they're doing when it comes to algorithms. I think this is very exciting for AMD GPU owners, though. So the cool thing about it is like the brief history of how Nvidia came up with this is they created Nvidia's RTX Voice, and RTX Voice works with all GTX and RTX graphics cards. And it basically is a noise suppression AI algorithm as well, where it's like it can just reduce any background ambient noises and clinging in the background and all this other stuff. And I guess they rebranded it to RTX Broadcast because they're trying to get more into that like all-encompassing streaming platform for people
Yeah,
to be a broadcaster. But you don't have to have RTX Broadcast. You can just download the simple app of like RTX Voice and be fine.
right.
Now,
Yeah.
should I show the people what the difference is
I mean,
between
yeah.
it?
I mean, I'll just say right now,
So
what he's
I can do
showing, ladies and gentlemen, please turn your audio down if you have it kind of high right
that.
now. Just kind of turn it
Okay.
down just for a little bit, not long.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna turn off RTX Voice and then I'm gonna type. I'm gonna speak and then I'm gonna type. So here's it. Here's it with it off. I don't know if you've noticed my voice change at all.
Oh, we hear the AC. I'll just say
You
that.
hear the AC running every time I talk? Yeah, because the I got a fan behind me. So I don't have live feedback in my ears right now. Um, so I can type.
Yeah, there it is.
But
It's
here's the crazy
clicking
thing.
away.
So for people that are just listening, and like you can't see me type it on my keyboard on the video, but I'll go ahead and turn it on while I'm typing. So
Oh,
here we go.
next level. Let's get it.
Yeah, so like, can you hear
Dude,
it
I
at
can't
all?
hear
I'm still
anything
typing.
now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I saw a video and a review on this 2 years ago, and they had dogs barking in the background. They had random people talking as well, but it
Yeah.
like the AI picks up the nearest voice,
Yeah.
and maybe it has like a voice signature too, because it's like everybody's voice naturally sounds different,
Yeah.
or has its own signature. So maybe that's what they're doing. But this technology has been around for a while now. I think AMD can perfect it. They definitely have the hardware to do it.
Yeah.
It just really comes down to, do they have the software and the AI's like noise suppression like ability?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have the R&D, right? I think if AMD's proved anything, especially since
Yeah.
2017 now, they really ramped up kind of the R&D around their hardware, and now it's like it's competing with Intel, and Intel's down, and now
Hmm.
they're fighting, and Ryzen 7000's
Yeah.
coming out, and it's gonna be insane. So They definitely got the research behind it now. So, I mean, it's good to see. I mean, to your point though, this is 2 years after Nvidia dropped theirs, right? So it's definitely
Yes,
late,
yes.
um, but that's not to say it's necessarily a bad iteration. And I'm glad to see AMD got to it eventually. Um, yeah, overall, I'll be curious to see. I mean, and to your point too, when you were talking about the you saw like videos of it a couple of years ago. I remember there's one like distinct video I will never forget, and it was the guy. It was a guy sitting at his desk showing it off, and he had a hammer. That was one of the objects. He had a leaf blower, a full leaf blower, full size leaf blower.
Like, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, he
That's what
literally
sold me. I saw that, I'm like, "I'm downloading it right now."
dude, it was insane. He's like, if you have a 2000 series card, you can download it right now. And he's literally sitting there taking the hammer, beating it on his desk while he's talking, completely cancels out. You see him doing it. It's so loud, and then he turns it on, you can't hear it. Um, Leaf blower, he literally took a leaf blower, like put it right next to the microphone and talked. And don't get me wrong, you could tell like it was chopping his voice up, but you still like could barely hear the leaf blower, and it was literally right there. And like he turned
Yeah,
it off, and it's just like it drowned out the audio. But
it's such a crazy vid.
yeah, I mean the power of AI, right? Like that's like it's all kind of it's AI is the reason why it's so good. And it's like especially in the audio sphere, that's one of the that's certainly like I hope to see it kind of in more hardware, like whether it's I mean because there's a lot of real world applications that you can have with RTX voice or RTX broadcast in this case. A lot of real world applications, like if you're like a say you're like a trucker or something, and you want to make calls or stuff. And granted, I think I don't know the whole world there, but it's kind of but anywhere where you're in a very noisy environment, like a factory or something like that, like you could take advantage of some of these tools. I think whether it's like through a walkie or something like that. Like what if walkie talkies kind of had this sort of processing, so it would only pick up voices? I think it'd be pretty crazy.
So sick. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about, like, you could technically use RTX voice if you have, like, a GTX or an RTX graphics card in any device.
Yeah,
So if you have one in, like, your laptop or something like that, and you're actually out in the field or, like, in a manufacturing plant where it's really loud, and you have to do those, like, corporate meetings,
yeah,
dude, just turn it on,
yeah.
and then they
Right.
can't hear anything. It's cool.
It's true, yeah. Totally drowns out everything. I mean, yeah, you could use it. Yeah, if it's just in like a work machine, like they get a work machine with an Nvidia card,
Yeah,
RTX, like it may be worth the investment, especially if you're in a noisy environment. So hope
exactly.
hoping to see more real world application of it, because I think it could really change the game. And I feel like we
Yes.
still maybe haven't seen that yet. I feel like something like this could like maybe not become like a household name, but like pretty close to it, of like, oh, well, did you get the phone with this on it, or did you get like this with this? Did your laptop have this, like kind of thing?
That's so
Um,
cool. Yeah, I
Insane.
watch it's gonna show up in our phones next. Probably already is, and we don't know it or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
But
who knows? Apple could be working on their own thing, knowing Apple. If they want to try and
yeah,
get into iPhones. Um, but yeah,
that'd be cool.
I mean, just the technology of like active noise cancellation blows my mind because it's like you just like, especially with like we saw it recently with the SteelSeries headset, that new SteelSeries Arctis Pro
Yes.
Nova or whatever it is. I think that's they use active noise cancellation where it takes in all the noise through outside speakers and it filters it out, so it creates the effect of like a closed back headphone even though it's open. So it's
Yeah, it's so cool that they can do that.
yeah. I mean, the technology of audio and processing is it's gotten to pretty crazy heights. So
Yeah, but I think if you're an AMD GPU holder, you should start rejoicing.
yeah,
I mean, you're gonna have to wait. Like, you can only do it with the RTX 6000 graphic cards and Ryzen 6000 APUs. So
yeah, yeah. Definitely check out the article too if you have an AMD card. They discuss a little more on what's coming in the latest drivers, like OpenGL optimizations and whatnot. So might be stuff of interest to you if you have a high end AMD card.
yep, we got all the links in the description. So
Always do.
definitely check it out.
Definitely. I also want to bring the attention. We recently
Yes.
got. It's been a while, Mike, since we've had an article around a research kind of. I was gonna say
It really
survey, but
has.
it's not like a survey. It's a research study. Um, so there's a new study recently, that says that playing video games all summer won't make you feel worse. Sounds kind of weird when you word it like that, but we'll describe it in a little more detail. So the article says, we pull this from The Verge, it said video games aren't hurting people's mental health and they're not helping it. In fact, they don't do much to move the needle at all, according to a new study of tens of thousands of gamers. For years, policymakers and public health bodies have expressed concern about the potential of video games to be addictive or harm your mental health. This study, published in the journal the Royal Society Open Science, offers one of the more comprehensive looks at the relationship between video games and well being. It builds on previous research from the same team that also didn't find bad effects on mental health. The research team worked with video game publishers to recruit nearly 39,000 people who played one of 7 games: Animal Crossing New Horizons, Apex Legends, EVE Online, Forza Horizon 4, Gran Turismo Sport, and The Crew 2. Game publishers provided gameplay data for participants over 6 weeks, and the researchers surveyed participants 3 times. Because the team was able to examine players' gaming data, they didn't have to rely on players self-reporting the amount of time they spent playing games, so the team was able to get a more accurate read on gaming time. The study measured well-being using 2 tools: the scale of positive and negative experiences, which asked people to rank how often they experience feelings like happy and afraid, and the Cantrell self-anchoring scale, which asks people to say where they are on a ladder, with the top representing their best possible life. Very interesting. Um, so the study also asked people to take the player experience of a need satisfaction survey, which tracks people's experience with specific games, tracking things like their perception of autonomy and their motivations to play the game. The analysis found that spending more or less time playing games didn't have a negative or positive effect on how people felt. Conversely, how people felt didn't have a major impact on how much time people spent gaming. Um, Article goes on a little bit more, but I mean, if there's anything we could say here is that if you're playing a bunch of games, I think it's safe to say that it's not gonna. I don't think it has as much of a negative effect as especially policymakers think it may have. So I mean, just play more games. I guess is end of the story here. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how else to I don't know how else to put it. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Mike? I think it's pretty like interesting the fact that it's like an actual study and people are spending time on it.
Yeah, well, we need more studies based on gaming because gaming is such a new concept.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
definitely.
really only been around since like the 80s, in like a large scale form. So it's cool. I think it's cool, man. There's a couple of TED Talks that do a bunch of research on it too, about how like gaming in general is actually good for your mental health if you have games that are like milestone based or achievement hunting or like progression in stories and stuff. People
Yeah,
actually get like a real true sense of fulfillment when they accomplish something that's very difficult,
yeah,
and that's like a satisfactory real thing. um and I feel like that's like gaming has a lot of benefits. I mean, not to say like you should definitely move your physical body, but like emotionally, mentally well-being, I mean, dude, like gaming has a lot of benefits for people.
yeah, for sure. And to that point, I think when I personally, for me, when I'm playing a game like Animal Crossing or something like that, it's I feel like those games are hard for me to get engaged in and stay playing almost. And I think
Yeah.
part of that is because like there's kind of like no there's no like kind of like you did this and like kind of like a task like progression type thing. It's kind of just like here, build your little town,
Yeah.
go plant some trees, go to the store. Like I don't know, it's I think for me, not dogging on Animal Crossing, for the little time I did play on that game, I can definitely see the appeal. But yeah, I think for me, it's just kind of having those achievements and having a challenge to overcome is like what keeps you playing a lot of games. I think so.
Well, I think to your point on, or like to a counter to that, specifically with Animal Crossing, I know people that play Animal Crossing that set their own goals.
Yeah, which is
So it's
true.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like I want to have a bigger, better house. I want to have these sets of decorations. I want to have my island look a certain way,
yeah,
and or like I want to get my bankroll up. It's kind of like it just depends on what you want to do, right?
yeah,
So it's like, what do they call it? A sandbox game. It's
yeah. Same,
probably
very
the
sandboxy. Yeah.
ultimate. Whereas you can have something a little bit more structured and rigid. I think that's why why there's so many different genres of games. Like it appeals, one genre will appeal to somebody more than another genre might. Like
Yeah.
FPS shooters and racing games, I'm always going to be interested in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not really that interested in any RPG games or MMOs.
Yeah. I think especially over the past couple of years I've shifted more so into like FPS games. I don't know what it is, but I just love shooters. I think it's like something about especially on like keyboard and mouse. I think like shooters and like
Oh, yeah.
having the ability to use a mouse is like very and like like if I hit every shot like in like a game or
Oh,
something like that, it's like dude,
Euphoria.
I am insane. Like I'm freaking out cuz I'm just like it's kind of like that. So I just love that feeling. Especially when you win a game, that's such a like challenge, and you're kind of you overcome that challenge and win. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I commend especially developers that make sandboxy games, right? Because it's not, especially when you're developing that, it's and again, I don't know like the specifics, but I feel like when you're making a sandboxy game, it's very much like, okay, here's a bunch of tools, and we're just gonna let you do what you want with those tools. But it's kind of like when you're developing that, like you kind of have to, like you were saying, you kind of have to like set, okay, some people are going to do this, some people are going to do that. Like there's going to
Yeah,
be different goals. And so you're kind of just building out almost like smaller games within it. But yeah, it's, I think to me too, I like structure at least a little bit, especially for me. Um, not like, I'm not like a crazy like planner or anything, but like having a game, knowing what I need to do and then doing it, there's something I like about that. And, yeah, I don't know. It's been harder for me. I think the biggest sandboxy game I really enjoyed was Minecraft because it's like I think part of it too is because it was first person, so it's like you get to like roam around like it's a first
yeah, that
person game.
helps.
But yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know because yeah, first person's like a huge thing for me. I love that thing. Although like games like Division, I've had fun in that game. That's very like third person and one of my favorite like series of all time, Splinter Cell, is third person, and but it's like third person done right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Those are like uh, linear paths with a set story, though.
yeah,
Most of those games
exactly.
that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what it comes down to. Um, Speaking of sandbox game, just we can mention it very briefly. No Man's Sky. Did you see the update?
I have heard and seen so many articles, and I've even seen articles about how to get into it in 2022 because that new expansion came out. They're like, "Here's how you can get started in the game because so many new people are coming," like type of thing.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. It looks really cool. I don't know anything other than how it looks.
Yeah,
Like it just looks so good.
yeah,
And but that's a game that's like I feel I would need to be with somebody or talking with somebody that's also playing the game or
yeah,
like I need to be actively engaged with somebody else because I think that's because of how I've been playing games the last like 10 years has
yeah.
always been in a group format. It's like I'm not competing to beat the game. I'm competing to be better than the person that I'm playing with. You know
That's
what I mean?
that's
Like,
the man. It's competition guy right here. You understand? This is his guy.
that's why I like racing. That's why I like
Yeah,
shooters. It's like fighting games too. I'll
yeah,
play those because you're not trying to beat the game. It's like you study the game to master the game, but you're not beating the game. You're trying to beat your opponent.
yeah,
Whereas like RPGs and like PvE style games or like survival sandboxes, you're trying to beat the game.
yeah, yeah,
So
for sure,
it just your style, you know?
definitely. Yeah, I mean that's all it comes down to, right? I used to be.
Yeah.
I still am super into like single player games, but especially more recently, I've been playing multiplayer. Maybe the past like let's say maybe the past year. Although I did play a lot of single player games last year, so I just I'm a lover of games. What can I say? You know. Um,
Yeah,
but
doing the whole watching live streams that are nothing but FPS will help.
that's true. Yeah, and that'll do that. That'll have an effect for sure. Um, but yeah. I'm sure there was one more little kind of thing that I wanted to fill in here. It says this study did find some evidence though that people's motivations to play games and their experience playing them had a slightly larger impact on well-being. When people played games because they wanted to, their well-being was better than when people
Yes.
played games because they felt compelled to. Still, those relationships are small, but and it's not clear if those motivations would have much of a noticeable impact on players. This is like this delves into kind of the pro player kind of like
Oh yeah.
sphere, right? Like
Yeah.
when you're grinding a game for how long, it's like it gets to a point where like you're just playing because it's your job, right? And like you're playing to get in the hopes that like elements of the game will get better and stuff like that. Like I feel like pro players could probably resonate with that, with this the most. And
Oh,
I certainly think you would
doesn't
agree.
yeah, it doesn't even have to be pro players. It just has to be people that are competing, right?
Yeah,
Like, dude,
yeah, just in
I
general.
had that. I literally had that feeling in like February with the team that I was on, and we were competing for Halo Infinite. It was like, dude, like I just got done with a really long break, and I really enjoyed my break. And when I came back, we were like just back into grinding, and I was like, okay, let's get it, let's go, and just grinding every single day. Like I'm talking several hours every single day, like playing by myself, playing with the team, like studying the game. It was
Yeah,
like I got to the point where I was just like, dude, I'm not liking this like at all. It's
yeah,
like, and it's like it's permeating through my attitude of how I play the game. It's permeating to the point where it's like I'm getting really annoyed with teammates. It's just like
yeah,
it's just like keeps escalating because it's like you got to be careful. It's like you got to remember it's a game you're meant to enjoy it, have fun. But when you get to the point of like I have to get on, it becomes a chore. And
yeah,
then like they what they say? Like what's that classic line that people say? It's just like if you do something you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your life or something like that.
yep,
It's like, dude, I feel like you can do every like something that you love every single day, and eventually you're gonna want to change it.
yeah,
You know? It's
yeah,
like you like love let's say your favorite meal is chicken and rice. Very bland, very basic, but you just listen to me, okay? Just chicken and rice. You have that every single night, but it's your favorite for like months. You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Every now and then you're gonna want to switch it up, like have a veggie dinner, you know?
yeah, exactly.
Maybe a steak, maybe some shrimp. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like what I'm getting at is too much of something, even if you like it, can get on your nerves eventually.
yeah. I
That's
think,
basically what I feel they're trying to say.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think variety's the spice of life, especially if you're playing one game on a competitive level. Don't be afraid to play some other stuff. Fill it out.
Yeah,
Don't, especially in the gaming world. Like, I think
too
people
many
should
good
try their
games.
very hardest not to lose their love of gaming, just from like beating themselves up over one game, kind of thing.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's so easy to do. I feel like, and when you're in the moment and in that zone.
I find the best thing to do is to switch it up and go play a game that got you back, like got you into gaming in the first place.
Yeah.
Like for me, um, the game that kind of got me like really into gaming is Mario Kart, Super Smash, Mario Tennis. It's like I'll pull out the N64 and I'll play against bots.
There
I'm
you
just like, yeah, this is the best. Like this is just good.
go.
I'm enjoying
Just good
this.
games, dude.
Yeah, but
Solid.
it's like for a younger audience, it could be like Modern Warfare 2,
Right,
COD.
right.
Get out
Exactly.
there, go play the campaign. I mean, I don't know if the servers are
Dude,
still on,
I mean, Minecraft.
but
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
just get on a game like
like
that.
yeah.
When I get back on Minecraft a while, after a while, dude, it feels just so good. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
dude, my zen is to go from like competing or being in try hard mode of like shooters and then tilting and then saying to hell with it. Let's go get on Rocket League. Let's go race on Forza.
yeah,
Those are two games where I could just put on music, zone out completely.
yeah,
Know what I mean? Like
exactly.
sometimes you just gotta do that.
Not even thinking about the outside world, Just
Nope.
block it out for a little bit. Exactly. For sure, man. Anyways, play the moral of
Yes.
the story, play some games, Have fun. Um, people are saying it's,
A
it's
gaming podcast advocating for
yeah, I
us to
mean,
play
yeah.
games.
Are we biased? Of course we are. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like we aren't. But hey, play some games. Just play some games. Um,
Let's talk about I like this next article because it's
yeah.
one of my favorite developers. Like so many games came out of this developer and studio that I absolutely love, and we're
Yeah.
about to rip them a new one.
Oh man. So I know we've had some articles recently about like especially like with testers too, like tester unions that are starting and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like because the industry is just um anyways, so 1 year on, a better Ubisoft says that none of its demands for improving workplace culture have been met. A quarter of employees who signed the original open letter have actually quit since. That's happened.
Phew.
Um, a better Ubisoft, the internal group campaigning for improved working conditions at the French publisher, has said that its demands have not been met 1 year on from issuing an open letter decrying the publisher's work culture. The letter was penned in solidarity with Activision Blizzard employees who were striking to protest the company's toxic culture of harassment and abuse. But the letter also called out similar problems at Ubisoft that were initially revealed in 2020. This included allegations of sexual assault and harassment against several high ranking Ubisoft employees and a wider culture of ignoring or outright suppressing their problems or these problems that ran all the way up to the company's executives. There was a lot more that kind of went on with that. But now another year has passed, and a better Ubisoft is saying that once again, nothing has been done. And a Twitter thread breaking down the situation, the organization said that none of our demands have been met. It also stated that 25% of the letter's signatories have actually since quit Ubisoft, almost 40% of which are women. Since only a quarter of Ubisoft staff are women to begin with, this means that Ubisoft is massively disproportionately losing women who signed the open letter calling for more action to tackle abuse. The article also goes on to kind of describe some of the initial the initial demands. You can certainly go and read. But overall, this just sucks. It's like I think overall it's not what we want to see, especially after many publishers, Activision and Blizzard. I mean, Activision and Blizzard have been under fire probably the most over the past recent years over like all these allegations and just this poor behavior. And then when they issued an open letter to Ubisoft to try and make things better at that company, seems like nothing's been done. I don't know what to do, Mike. It's getting ridiculous,
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be an industry trend right now. Just like all these big tech companies and all these horrible toxic cultures and environments. It's like crunch
Yeah.
being the biggest thing. And then, well, let me say this, crunch being the biggest thing in terms of like working, but then you got like the social issues of harassment and
Yeah.
abuse.
It's
It's
just
like
like it's
or
just
theft of
it
certain things.
like as an outsider, it's almost hard to believe that even happens. It's like, but
You hear about it.
there's been
Yeah,
so many cases of it. It's like must be true. Like it's just crazy to
it
me.
has
It's
to
like
be.
I just can't. It's hard to wrap my head
It,
around.
some of the allegations that were coming out of Activision Blizzard in particular were so outlandish that it was like it has to be true because who would make that up?
Right? Like,
It was nuts. And Ubisoft is like it looks way better in comparison, but the truth of the matter is like this is going to keep happening because like workers are realizing you can kind of stick up. You have more negotiating power by essentially becoming a union.
yeah,
So they're not going to be putting up with this kind of crap anymore.
yeah,
And at least right now in this economy with the job market the way it is, where everybody's kind of hired right now, although signs are slowing, but we're not economists. Let's not go into that. For right now and for the last 2 years, most people have been just being able to work whether they want to work.
right, yeah,
So they have way more power to basically be like, I'm out. Like, I don't have to put up with this. I have other options. People are allowing me to work remotely. And it's like if you can match the company's hours, you can technically work from anywhere now with the internet.
yeah. I mean, for real, anywhere you got an
So
internet
that
connection.
yeah, so it just gives people way more options to roll up the deuces and walk out.
Yeah, very true. Um, I mean, I think it's certainly not out of the realm that we may start seeing some walkouts from these companies, and hopefully, if
Oh,
that's the case, we could see some maybe
serious change.
some serious change, yes, and also maybe some other development companies maybe getting some of these talented people and making some great products under a safe environment. Because at this rate, I feel like that's probably gonna have to be the answer. Is get some companies going and hire some devs and make something great without you know not wanting to go to work. Because I feel like in a lot of these cases, it's like people don't want to go to work because of this. And
Yeah.
granted, if they're working remote, that's one thing. But still, I mean, like I think that one of the downsides to working remote is sometimes without even realizing it, you're working these long hours and you could easily work overtime without even knowing, and like, or you could very much easily, they can easily be like, hey, like, you're already home, like, could you just work like a few more hours, or could you just
Yeah.
get this done tonight, kind of thing. And it's like it becomes a little harder to get that work life balance, and it's already, from what I've heard, especially in the industry, it's already hard enough to find that when they were in the office, let alone I feel like it's in some cases probably amplified when they don't have to actually commute anywhere.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean, you got to set serious boundaries and expectations with your employer if you're under that kind of stress.
Yeah,
Just like, hey, you only pay me from 8 to 5. So from 8 to 5, I'm available, whatever you need.
yeah,
But
exactly.
at 5:01, my computer shutting down.
It is closed, baby. That's
Yep.
it.
Hopefully you have that like ability to have multiple options, right? You have your own personal work laptop or
Yeah,
computer and your own personal use work, or
yeah,
not work, but like computer or laptop for entertainment purposes.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's crucial, especially in like the tech industry. I can speak on that. Like, but in most cases, the people you're working for, they can give you your own machine because it's like there's certain
Yeah,
security measures you have to uphold for
that's
clients
right.
too. So it's like it's just easier to do your own machine, but it's also easier to
Mhm.
separate that because you can again just close it and forget about it until the next day.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
so yeah, it's one of those things. It's certainly something I've tried to be better about, especially like recently, is kind of just separating the work and life a little bit more. So it's it's easy to do. It just takes a little bit of discipline and just speaking. I think speaking up a little more if it actually gets to be too much. So I don't know. But best of luck. Best of luck to the Ubisoft employees though. It's
Yeah,
I really hope they either figure something out or actually start listening. And if not, they I will say for a lot of this, especially if like if you have experience, there are tons and tons of opportunities out there for developers. So there's always another option, I think. So
yeah,
I say don't be
absolutely.
afraid to seek other options if nothing is nothing is changing.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the good demands that they wanted. So in the article, they say a better Ubisoft ended the thread by reiterating its demands, which are as follows. There are several here, but the one that I think is crucial is the second one, which is we want a collective seat at the table to have a meaningful say in how Ubisoft, there's a Ubisoft,
Either
as
or.
a company moves forward from here. Sometimes people just want to be heard,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know? Like that, like if you can make people feel heard, they'll be more okay with like, okay, this is where I'm coming from. You listen to them, genuinely listen, right? Like not what's it called? Like just one ear out the other kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, that makes them feel better, and it's definitely deserved if you're working for them.
yeah, yeah. I would agree. think um I think that is something that will certainly have to happen. And yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I guess it gets so hard when you have investors, stakeholders, and
yeah, this is
management and
true.
stuff. I mean, it gets kind of hard, but I think overall, I think we would get not only better games, but better communication and
Mm,
just better everything if developers if the people actually making the games had more of a say in what actually
yes,
happens. I think it's
dude.
just
I feel
across the
like
industry in general. Like I know we can name a few, but
I feel like I know for a fact I've been preaching, but I think like we as like on the podcast have been preaching that like just make just let the people that are making the games make the decisions sometimes.
yeah, for
Why
real.
are we letting marketers or people in business management that don't know how the product is properly made dictate the deadlines and the marketing
Yeah.
of that said product? It's like you don't understand it,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, you just don't. And I mean, going back to referencing a past article with 100 Thieves starting a game, making a company, and like trying to get community involvement, I'd be very
Yeah,
curious to see how that's going to turn out. Because if that ends up
you can
working
change the
out,
game.
yeah, I mean, if that ends up working out really well, I mean, dude, that's going to be, I think that's going to be something that the industry as a whole should adopt. Is
Oh
having
yeah,
community involvement as well. Because I mean, and I'm not saying developers, there's certain cases too where I think maybe community probably has the community in general, or like testers have better ideas than some of the developers around certain things because they just have more experience with that style of game. And it's of course very situational, but I think overall, just giving the developers and the testers and everyone who's actually kind of putting time into the game and actually making it, giving them those decisions, and trying to like
Yeah.
take even community vote. I think I'd be very curious to see how that turns out. So I think companies like 100 Thieves making their game, and Midnight Society with Doc. I mean, I'm going to be very curious to see how those. I'm looking very closely at those companies to see what they do in the next couple of years, because they could change the industry. Hopefully, if it's what we think it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm hoping for their success. I'd like to see something different. I'd like to see something public, right?
Yeah,
Because like Doc's thing is going to be very public. Like he's gonna update his entire community, he's gonna promote it and stuff like that.
yeah,
100 Thieves, it sounds like they're doing documentaries.
yeah. They'll be doing
So
documentaries and community, outreach
yeah,
for like feedback and everything. So
exactly. So it's like it's gonna be really interesting to see how it's gonna work. Um yeah, but Ubisoft needs to get together. Uh, Going back to them is like I don't understand. It's been months, and
yeah,
people feel as if none of their demands have been met, and nothing has improved the workplace culture. So they're just leaving.
yeah.
They've lost 25%. Like, how many more people do you have to leave, or how many more people have to leave until you realize, like, oh, this is an issue?
I don't know, man. It really it's a real head scratcher, right? Because it's like,
Yeah,
if you that's a big chunk of the employee of the employee base that's already gone. And so I mean
40% are women.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would just say, if you're in that situation, you feel like you're not being heard. I mean, just keep going. just keep going in terms of like leaving. Just like
Yeah.
just find some other stuff. There's certainly a lot of opportunities out there. And Ubisoft will learn eventually. We can only hope, right?
Yep.
Mm.
Or they'll bust. Speaking of boomer bust,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
GTA 6. Very
Ooh.
are you excited for GTA 6, Mike? I think overall I'm kind of excited. No.
Oh yeah,
Um
I mean, I it's Grand Theft Auto. I'm gonna be excited no matter what.
yeah.
I I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic. It should have a lot of potential. I mean, it's been in development for I don't even know how long. And GTA 5 has been so successful through like a community basis of modding and like the role playing scene that's come up, the racing scenes. There's so many things to do in this sandbox. Um, it'd be really fascinating to see what they can do with the next iteration.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, there was a huge article that dropped on Bloomberg. Of course, Jason Schreier, I believe, always helming that. Of course, that gets posted around everywhere. We pulled this article from Kotaku. The title says GTA 6 co-stars a woman and will be more culturally sensitive. Apparently, the game is supposed to be set in Miami. Release date is, of course, years away, probably 2024, 2025, 6, around there probably. But yeah, there was a lot to report. It's a pretty big article. It says here the game is planned to come out sometime before March 2024. The Sun developers told Bloomberg they're still skeptical that this date's going to hit. Reports the game's map was originally planned to encompass huge swaths of North and South America, but Rockstar dialed back those ambitions and instead plans to add more areas of cities post-launch. This is rapidly all in keeping with an attempted culture shift at the company. Shortly before the release of Red Dead 2 in 2018, Kotaku reported on brutal overtime at the Fame studio. There was also allegations of abusive behavior as well, including against the former VP of development. Bloomberg reports that in addition to trying to improve working conditions internally, the studio is also trying to be more culturally sensitive, especially since American culture has become, as the article puts it, a parody of itself in modern times. GTA games parodies the American culture dialed up to 11 have been criticized in the past of the misogyny treatment of women, bits of jokes. A playable female lead is apparently part of trying to address that, according to the article. But now, though, it's worth noting that may already be seeing some of these changes come with a kinder culture. The next gen port of GTA 5 had some transphobic content quietly removed before the re-release. Also notes that um, the police-centric mode Cops and Crooks, first reported by Kotaku, apparently ceased development due to the murder of George Floyd. A lot of cultural stuff, especially they've looked over, especially over the past couple of years. So um, it's I think it's no surprise that they probably want to try and dial it back a little bit. Um, and I'll be curious to see. I've heard mixed things online, Mike. I've heard both sides. Like some people are like, "Oh yeah, like this is
Yeah.
great." Um, some people also says like, then again, this is Grand Theft Auto. It's kind of what it's meant to be, kind of um like hyperbolic in the sense of like these like really like weird parts of America and like the culture, right? So yeah, I mean, I think I'll be curious to see what the game is like. I'm not like super caught up in that. I just want a good video game at the end of the day. So, um, however they do that, um, I mean, I'd be curious to hear your opinion, Mike, because I know we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't go into like super detail.
I like so I think it's kind of I don't know how to put this exactly without feeling like I'm walking on eggshells, right? Because it's like it's Grand Theft Auto as a brand has always, to me, the way I've experienced it, has always been about the criminal society in major cities.
Yeah.
Um, you're not really having a moral background or compass. So to me, it was always like everything that was terrible in the game of Grand Theft Auto was kind of like a role playing game.
Hmm.
It was like
Yeah.
supposed to represent the worst of American society,
Right. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I
Which I
think
agree to.
like with having all that all of those issues that are very what term did they just use in this culturally sensitive?
Hmm. Yeah.
I think it was culturally sensitive. It was more like intentional, like it
Yeah.
was meant to be offensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure why exactly they're dialing it down. Um, so the rumor is, and I wanted to double check this. I did a quick little Google search, and GTA 6 is what's it called? Rumored to be based in something similar to Rio de Janeiro
Mm.
between 1970 and 1980, and the main character is supposed to be caught up in the drug trade. I don't think uh, a drug mule or whoever, somebody caught up in the drug trade, is going to have the moral background or judgment to have like culturally sensitive viewpoints.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Especially if it's like in the 80s, 70s, 90s. I mean,
Oh,
we're talking
yeah.
it's just like
It's
it was
it
crazy
was
back then,
terrible.
right? Like
Yeah.
it was yeah, I mean, we
It's
look back on a
literally it
lot
was
of
literally terrible for everybody except for a white man,
like yeah, like
straight up.
yeah, I mean, back then there was just we like nobody knew any better, right? It's kind of just like so I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know.
willfully ignorant. I think people knew better. They were
Yeah,
just looking the other way.
right,
Um,
definitely. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a
it's weird how
weird
you
kind
wanna
of
take it. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's like, I totally understand where they're coming from as a company based in 2022. It's like,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe tone it back, but it's like, if you're trying to make a game, I guess they just need to decide what kind of studio they're trying to make, right? Because it's like Rockstar made Red Dead Redemption, which is a fantasy game, but is based in a real era, and they
Mhm.
try to
Yeah.
stick as true to that era as possible, which made it more of like a historical game, kind of.
Yeah.
Like loosely based on a story kind of movie as quotes, you know? Grand Theft Auto always felt like that to me too, because it's like wasn't Vice City supposed to be a knockoff of Miami?
I think so, yeah.
No,
The
or they
one
they had something beach. One of them was based on Miami, the other one's based on LA. And it's like it's fantasy world, sure, but it's like they definitely take real elements of American society and the horrible things in it
right,
to
yeah.
implement in their game. Um,
Yeah.
I guess right now is going to be a turning point for Rockstar and what they decide to do with the Grand Theft Auto franchise. If they choose to go like the culturally sensitive route of like censoring themselves, because everybody plays these games now. Like with role playing, I mentioned this
Yeah.
off air. Like the role playing stuff, that's huge, and everybody was doing that at some point. That's very inclusive. It has all communities in it
Yeah.
on a game that's like hyper offensive in the story to all
Yeah.
those main characters and communities that are, like come together.
Yeah.
So this might be their way to basically embrace the RP scene
Yeah.
and
It's
bring
definitely
in the
true.
audience of everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I
So
mean,
it leads me to ask, like, are we gonna see a rated T GTA?
definitely not. There's no way. There's no way. I think at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, I'd certainly look into it as art. I mean, we can also see like GTA 5. I mean, it's probably the greatest grossing game of all time. Like that. I remember,
It's up
I
there.
mean, I was in high school when it came out. Every
Yeah,
teenager wanted it. Like we all were like, I
yeah,
just want to play GTA. Like
yeah.
everybody wanted that game, and it's like, um, and yeah, I mean, I think, but I kind of think to your point, that's the whole point of these games is they're trying to like kind of show like it's like I don't want to say like it's all art, but it's like that's kind of it's on purpose, right? Like it's meant to
Yeah,
kind of
it's
show you like
intentional.
it's meant to like show you an aspect of like that these are people with no
I
morals and stuff like this
yeah,
is what can happen like
I think the appeal with Grand Theft Auto is it's it's a video game based in a fantasy world that's based on reality, but it's like it's real. You know what I mean?
yeah
Like they're real people that think the way these characters think.
yeah
They're
yeah
real people that will like just hijack a car and shoot somebody.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's crazy
like
world, you know?
that is real. That's real life that happens. There's drug mules, like prostitutes, like and all these other things that I don't want to get too far in depth on a podcast,
Yeah,
but it's like I think that's always been the appeal with Grand Theft Auto, and if they go away from that, then it's like, okay, well, what kind of game are we making now?
yeah.
They're
It's a
at a
good
turning
point,
point, I think.
for
I think
sure.
they're at a turning point.
I'll be really curious to see how this game turns out now. I
Yeah.
mean,
I will say though, I am excited that they're gonna have a woman on it.
yeah, for
I
sure.
think that that's one thing they have not really done, and it's gonna be pretty cool to see how they handle it.
Yeah, I agree. It could be pretty dope. Um, yeah, I mean, definitely they're at a turning point. We'll see how it turns out. I'm still gonna play the game regardless because it's GTA.
Oh,
Like, no
yeah.
one's. I feel like no one's not gonna play this game.
Yeah, of course.
Especially if and with Rockstar being Rockstar. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm going into it now. I'm expecting some things maybe turn down a little bit, but I'm also hoping that Rockstar still kind of keeps that little bit of realness that made their games so likable. I think, which sounds like funny to say likable, but like I feel like that was part of it. So I'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
curious to see. Now, Minecraft came out with an update recently, Mike. wasn't
Oh, tell me
wasn't
all about it.
wasn't so likable. I feel like from some of the Minecraft
Well,
community.
before we get started, I'm gonna just
Mhm,
say it really quick.
go for
I
it.
fell into a YouTube rabbit hole of these people remaking different, like, ancient societies in human, like, civilization, like, real societies.
Yeah.
I think they did Babylon, like, built rebuilt
What?
the entire thing on historical references that they could find.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was incredible. Anyways,
Yeah.
I felt
Well,
Minecraft is amazing. That's all
I
I'm saying.
mean, another side note. I think there was like a world that was like 1-to-1 with Earth or something like that. That was like
Oh,
playable. It's kind of crazy.
there's also a one-to-one Middle Earth for
That's
Lord of the Rings
nuts,
fans.
dude. It's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, it's and I saw, like, I dude, I let me tell you how bad I fell in. It was like an hour and a half long Lord of the Rings Middle Earth Minecraft tour. I saw the whole thing.
Dude. You watched the
The
whole
whole
thing.
thing.
Ladies
Whole
and gentlemen,
thing.
you watched the whole thing. Oh my
Minecraft's
gosh.
awesome. Let's go.
Love
Let's go. Hit
Minecraft.
me with the article,
I
sir.
love Minecraft, but listen, Minecraft players are in uproar over the new reporting system. But Mojang says they're not backing down. They're not budging on this. They said this is going in. The new system lets players report chat messages in multiplayer games, but community's worried about ramifications. They said Minecraft players have been up in arms about the new player reporting system since it was announced a month ago. It's finally been implemented as part of yesterday's 1.19.1 update. It allows players on both private and Mojang hosted multiplayer servers to flag inappropriate messages in chat for review by Mojang investigators, potentially resulting in in suspensions and bans for players that violate Minecraft's community guidelines, even on self-hosted servers. Fans are worried that the system will result in player bans for messages taken out of context, and more broadly, that it gives Microsoft too much power to dictate the content of discussions on its platform. I can definitely see where people come from with this. It's kind of like for the Mojang official servers, it makes total sense, right? Like if you're talking about like a private Minecraft server that's like even self-hosted, it's like stepping into some private territory, you know? Kind of,
Yeah,
and it could. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I mean, people shouldn't say a majority of things they say online, anyways. But like, especially in
facts.
this case, it's like I don't know. Is it invasion of privacy? I guess is the real question, right?
Well, it's weird, right? Because with the private servers, people running them like they were private businesses, weren't they?
Yeah, at one point for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I saw reports of certain people making like millions of dollars a year
yeah,
off of their
yeah,
servers that they ran and operated. So I mean, I can totally understand their need or want to have some privacy. But at the same time, you can also see the developer stance, like they want to have a safe community. This is also coming on the heels, remind you, of how Minecraft and Microsoft basically said they're not putting NFTs in their game.
yeah. Oh yeah, they're making some big decisions here. You
So
know.
yeah, I think we're gonna see the end of private servers on Minecraft.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's leaning. I
um.
mean, it's not gonna be instantaneously, but it's like the writing's on the wall, right? Like if you see them coming out and saying like no more NFTs or no NFTs whatsoever, and you're not making as much money off of your servers, like Microsoft, big dog Microsoft's coming over here is like you need to clean it up. Otherwise, we're gonna start banning everybody.
What do you mean? Like, you know what I'm
Start
saying?
shutting
Like,
down the whole. I mean, there's servers out there like in all different types of communities where it's like they can get really toxic and they can say really inappropriate things.
yeah.
So if they're gonna shut it down, they're gonna shut it down.
I mean, yeah, they would. I mean, it's I think yeah, some people may stop trying to invest in Minecraft. I mean, it certainly wasn't as lucrative as it was at one point. Especially I know like
Yeah,
Microsoft, they cracked down on a lot of the things that people were allowed to market on their servers.
yeah,
So it certainly wasn't as lucrative as it used to be. But yeah, at one point, especially in early Minecraft, whenever servers were really getting off the ground, I mean, there were servers turning around hundreds of $1,000s a month, and
insane.
it's wild, man. But they were legit small businesses that employed people and employed like not only developers but also like like world builders. Like you go into Minecraft, like Mike, you go into Minecraft, you take a block, you fly around, you click stuff, and you get paid for it. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking
So
about
sick.
here. I'm saying it's
That's so
like
sick.
it's crazy, man. Like artists had like another outlet, but but yeah, it's not as much the case anymore, and especially with decisions like this, makes me wonder if it's going to be much of a thing much longer. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too far into it. You know, maybe most of them will be fine. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, of course, we're going to promote like if you say like talk to people online as if you would talk to them in person, like have
Oh,
some
that's
decency.
a
You know what I
key.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Be human, not a savage.
exactly, that's the biggest thing I think. But
Yeah.
you know, there may be some people that leave because of this, but who know
Well,
who's to say Mojang wanted him in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what I'm saying. So it's
yeah,
like there are 2,000 downvotes at a time of the writing for Reddit, but this could also lean into multitudes of situations, like especially in the U.S. with like, well, I don't want to get too much into it, but there have been policies in the last like 30 years where people have been slowly but surely losing some form of privacy because like everything's going on the internet now.
yeah,
And I think this is just like one more thing for some people. You know what I mean? It's just like let's say Minecraft's your everyday thing, that's your passion, you like building, and
yeah.
then all of a sudden you find out it's like, man, they're coming after my data on Minecraft now.
The heck,
You know?
man. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like it keeps coming. But I also think there is a little bit of irony, right? Minecraft players are upset at Microsoft because of this, like them just moderating their chat. Meanwhile, PlayStation has autosave features recording every single one of your communications in voice and text chat.
Dang,
And if you
dude.
do one report, it automatically compiles a file to be sent off into the abyss to be registered by the almighty AI over there.
You're
To
done,
do that
son. You're
to some
done.
cheeks,
You're done. You
you're
understand?
gone. Which
Oh man.
honestly isn't a bad thing because when I'm doing crossplay and there's PlayStation kids, the things I've heard, man, you guys are living in 2005 Xbox Halo 2 proximity chat era. And if you don't know what that is, it's Modern Warfare 2 proximity chat between the lobbies
Dude,
era. You guys are
game
toxic,
chat
man.
hit different. And not in a good way. Like, it was bad, dude.
Oh my
Oh
god.
man.
Had like 7-year-old kids crying, man, calling for their mom, and then you curse out your mom? Like, whoa, dude,
Put your
calm.
mom on the mic. You remember that?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
bro, straight up. People were
Yeah, and then they go
savages,
after the
dude.
mom, dude. It was
Oh,
crazy
so
because
funny,
it's the
man.
the anonymity, dude. The nuts.
This is, man. It's
Um,
crazy. It's sometimes you forget, it's other people on the other side of that mic, but I mean, in some cases though, it's good banter, right? Like you're in the lobby, you're out, you never speak to that person again. It's kind of just in the moment.
okay,
But like,
there's a difference between like good banter and then crossing a line.
definitely is. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blanket statement good banter.
Okay, okay. Sorry.
I'm just saying like
My bad.
there's especially if you are of age, a civil person. No,
Yes.
there's you could have a little fun, but there certainly was way too much line crossing. I will say
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, especially
Yeah.
in those like 5 to 6 seconds in between lobbies where you're automatically know you're gonna disappear and never see that person again because the population was like 1 million. The things
Oh
that
man,
people were saying, man.
dude, yeah, they gotta get
Oh,
it in last second. Weirdos,
oh,
dude.
that was back when people could. Here's the thing: for those of you that don't know, Xbox since the Xbox One, I think, yeah, it was since the Xbox One, you can't live stream anything on the Xbox One to audio chat on Twitch or YouTube. It's like it's a pre-recorded like they put in a different line or something like that where you can't hear game chat. And I know you know this because we watch Nick all the time. He plays on the Series X, and you
Yeah.
never can hear his game chat. The reason why is because of how toxic it was back then during original Xbox 360, and people in proximity chat. Like there were people live streaming, and then they were saying the N words and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, it was bad.
it's
Like,
so
not the
bad.
streamers themselves, but the people they put it up against.
Yeah,
It was out of
bad man,
control.
so bad.
So,
Yeah. Well,
all that to basically say, be human.
exactly, dude. Just be
And you won't
human,
lose
dude.
anything in Minecraft.
Be human, man. Yeah, those are
Oh,
all articles. All the articles, dude. That's it. That's it, Mike. That's all I had, dude. That's all I
yes,
got, man.
I'm sorry, dude.
That's all I
I
got,
think
dude.
it was kind of a dry week, unfortunately. But there is some good news, right? So this is the last episode of the month, which means next episode, which will come out on the 5th of August. We're already getting to August now. Believe it?
Dang, dude.
Yeah. So on the 5th of August, um, post the next episode, and we're actually going to give the next releases of August, video game releases for all platforms.
Oh yeah.
So
And just
yeah,
just a quick sneak peek. Saints Row's gonna be on that list. That's my game to look out for in August. So saying
you've been
now,
so big on that ever since. You've
man,
been big on
dude,
that since you got on the podcast, man.
big on it,
You're
man.
like, so
I've
when do
been,
we get to talk
dude.
about Saints
We're
Row?
supposed to get in February, Mike. All right.
I
I just want
know.
to get it so bad, dude. This is,
It's
this is the
it's
month,
coming
man.
soon.
Into the month, but
Trademark.
it's the month, dude.
All right, I think without further ado, we can let the people go. Thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 28 of the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host over here, Mr. JKE. And oh yeah, one more thing. All the links, all the description, or is in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself, and contact information as well. Discord links there. Come join up, say what's up. We're friendly. So, you got anything
You
for
know,
him, Kyle?
nah, dude. Saints Row's coming up. That's all I got for you. All right.
All
All I
right,
got, dude.
GG's. See you guys later.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.